hear us. Can I first of all say I'm delighted to see so many people continuing to come here and new people coming along, so thank you very much indeed for the dedication of turning out against the tide of quite often, you know, the claustrophobia or the pressure that we're put under. One of the first things I always want to say is, because I keep forgetting, is could we give a huge round of applause to Laura Gilmartin for organising this and keep it going. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. We wouldn't be here without you organising this, liaising with the police and doing it, so thank you for the privilege. I was very much part of the independence campaign, and I see myself as a patriotic Scot, and yet, I mean, my background, I've written a biography of Robert Burns, right? I don't claim to be a scientific expert. I've studied the immune system for probably 12, 13 years, studied nutrition, the science of it for years. So I've got opinions. I'm going to give you a redrafted wording of an old song. And the song is titled Parcel of Rogues in a Nation. Okay, so if you know that old song, here's some new words for it. We do have a poet in our company here, sitting just to the right with the tartan hat on. Hopefully he'll give us a few lines later at some point. Farewell to aye our Scottish fame. Farewell your ancient glory. Farewell freedom, it's but a name. Enslavement new our story. Now COVID testing is ramped up. New cases told like death man. Get on your mask and stand in line. Obey their every breath, man. Fear, a weapon to control you, they've used down through the ages. Fear of a virus that kills safe you for hireling traitors' wages. Bill Gates' plans we do disdain. Control and depopulation. But Gates's gold has been our bane. He now runs the Scottish nation by proxy.
True.
Oh, would that I had seen the day such treason thus could sell us, our liberties just thrown away. Today what Bill Gates tells us, but pith and power, till my last hour I'll make this declaration. Our masks are bond, oh slavery, say no to their vaccination. Truth is what the establishment tells you at the time. Truth is what the establishment tells you it is at the time. Hasn't the truth been changing? Some more about into it in real depth. Alistair and others have mentioned it. Masks were no good to us for 3 months, and suddenly they're going to save our lives from a deadly virus that's still deadly. We need to show solidarity with each other. Now, a scientist with knowledge way beyond mine explained that the RNA virus called COVID-19 is so small that if you're wearing a mask that you make yourself that isn't a medical mask, it's the equivalent of a mouse going through Marble Arch. Marble Arch is pretty big. The mouse is going straight through it every time. Therefore, the masks are useless. Now, Simone went into some depth about the detail of the signs showing that masks will do harm. They're going to prepare for a second wave. Gates and co know that this is lowering people's immune system, lowering their oxygen, and increasing the CO2 re-inhalation. They know what they're doing. Now, Simone and I put out a video a few months ago looking at Lockstep from the Rockefeller Institute. I'm just going to flag up the chronology here for anyone new that maybe listens to this. Lockstep from Rockefeller Institute. Please read that, do your own thinking. Look at the World at Risk, our World at Risk UN paper, 2019, September, you can find that. If you're still questioning, look at Event 201. Go back to Gates in 2010 saying this will be the decade of the vaccines. This man claims to be a sort of like computing guru and expert. Really, he was set through his family connections to chase the guy that set up the Macintosh, etc., Steve Jobs, and basically to take him down and sell things cheaper. The only expertise that Bill Gates has got is ruthlessness at stitching people up, buying other stuff from people. He's a college dropout, and as far as I can see from what has been done, I know Colin usually goes into more depth about the economics of this. On 2nd of March, I call this a heist. The statement's still on Facebook. A heist similar to 9/11. There's pretext. A pretext for something else. And what I want to extrapolate on that is it was a heist in order to gain top-down control of different nations, using the virus as a pretext to scare us. The oldest weapon ever used by the elites has always been fear. Divide and conquer, and then manipulate people for control.
He's a charlatan.
Aye. But when people get involved in a power cabal where their intention is criminal, and I mean to kill in a process of depopulation, and also there's been 18 billion paid to Big Pharma to do the research for the vaccines. So they've already got massive payments. Who is going to pay for all of this?
Us.
Who's going to pay for it? Is Joe Public's going to pay for it? How does this work? A clearing bank prints money for nothing. It costs nothing, zero. It's simply transfer of digits. They just simply send the money to either the Treasury, from the Bank of England to the Treasury, and then they put it on our tab. Historically, the public have never understood this. It is so simple, it is galling. That is what they do. And now we're getting all the news that, oh, we'll have to get the tax put up, we'll have to do this, have to do that. Now, what we know from the science is that this entire pandemic was based on hype, fear, and the manufacturing of a virus to do this. Event 201, all of those things are chronologically mentioned earlier. We're leading towards that. A world at risk paper should have had stuff like natural disasters, starvation, nutrition, other stuff, but no. Picture of a virus in the front. They were all working towards that. We have a cabal with the World Bank part of it, Gates and his crew part of it, and we've had our politicians acting like puppets, following the instructions of the World Heist Organization, not the World Health Organization. We put our trust and our faith in these people, and they have broken that bond of trust. They have broken that. We put too much faith in them. They have abused that power. They have abused that power, and they should bloody pay for it. And I, sadly, I'm not a powerful enough politician and a big mouth. I'm just a councillor. I heard people saying a few weeks ago, there's no politician coming out against lockdown. I am against lockdown, and I'm calling on all of the other politicians in Scotland, have some mettle and come and bloody join us. Stand up for your country, stand up for the liberties of this people, and show some passion that you care, and see through the lies and the deceit that we have had meted out to us. Because part of that cabal is their programming through the media that is bought. Mammon's venal slaves, we are fighting you bastards, and we are going to come for you. That's what they are. Sorry to swear. That is what they are. They have been bought. You've got two camps of scientists. The scientists that are individual, they are working for us, they're working for the truth, they've got principles, they've got integrity. You see it in the EMF, you see it in standing up against vaccines, and then you have got the hirelings. I'm using the phrases of Burns. The hireling slaves, they are paid, and they are basically agents of the cabal. That's what they are. These people are paid. If I am paid and there's a conflict of interest, I cannot speak at any committee. These people, and as far as I'm concerned, there should be a public warrant out for the arrest of Bill Gates.
Yes.
There should be a warrant out for the arrest of every people in the World Bank. Everyone part of this robbery and heist should be put under arrest and tried for crimes against humanity and the robbery. The taxpayer should not be paying the bill of this fucking heist, because that's what it is. Speak it, say it what it is, that's the truth. I'm forgetting the signs. Let's go back to some of the signs, right? Professor Andrew Boston, Stanford's Nobel laureate. Professor Michael Levitt, someone I mentioned him earlier. Stanford's Dr. John Lanadis. Lanadis published a meta-analysis of the infection fatality rates, and they refer to, well, it was one of the other papers, so he refers to immunity threshold, the HIT, herd immunity threshold. And some of the stats go on to basically tell us, we know 0.26% from the CDC is the infection fatality rate. 0.26%. So basically, as one of the professors stated, that there is no susceptibility from COVID-19 for at least 50% of the public. And when it comes to the testing, they're testing for 3 different things. Obviously, they're testing for an RNA coronavirus, but they're picking up any coronavirus. There's hundreds of bloody coronaviruses. So the testing system is picking up any coronavirus, saying the disease is still spreading. They're using propaganda to say what is going on here is, even when they tested in Leicester, when they tested in Carlisle, oh, there's a new case. Each new case is like a death. They're emphasizing the cases, and as soon as they do more testing, it's like, oh, the disease is spreading. Panic, people. This is propaganda of a pantomime level. Let's see it for what it is. See through it is simply, excuse the language, bollocks. It is absolute rubbish. And there comes a point that, as well in the testing, they're saying, oh, here's another new case, because they found antibodies. When you find antibodies in someone from COVID-19, celebrate, because they bloody well are through it and they can't be infected again. So let's break up the numbers. Look closely at this. We had a country where we had 5 universities years ago. England had 2. We had an enlightenment, and yet our people are being bloody well led like sheep. There's a song that says, you know, the hills are overrun with sheep, and freedom has been put to sleep. Gabba Lindsay song. Our freedoms in Scotland will never be put to sleep. There is a spirit in this country that will stand up and will see through it. We're laid back. We're decent enough and lucky enough to have a police force who police by consent, because we were not conquered by the Romans. They pushed us up to a certain level, and we will not be conquered by this bloody cabal either. I don't know where else to go after this rant, but I always end up and then remember stuff I didn't say 5 minutes later, but you can really see where the science is going. The mask stuff is nonsense. The stats are showing clearly, basically, that the virus is spent. The comments earlier were absolutely bang on. The virus is spent. The idea that the leader of my country, Scotland, is telling us to have solidarity and have fear that this virus can still be spread. And telling us this, I mean, you mentioned the stuff earlier, it's absolutely right. The virus, COVID-19, is effectively over in our country. We do not need to wear masks. This is not my opinion, it's the truth of the real science. And we are talking people head and shoulders above a jump-top dentist. And I would say that straight to Professor Leach's face. Sit down, you're sacked. You do not know anything about epidemiology or virology. The real experts, Nobel laureates and people way above you, pal, go and pull out some teeth. You're sacked for the nonsense you've come out with. Dismissed. Dismissed. I'll tell you the other one I'll dismiss, but with courtesy, because of her background, but she's a friend of Chelsea Clinton. And she hasn't, professor, very smart, very literate. I think her forefathers come from, family come from India. And yet she will not mention Gates' destruction through his polio vaccine, or 400,000 people who have been crippled. Now, let's see the patterns, people, for goodness sake. The cabal own the banks, they own the elites, and they force their truth on us. Every vaccine is safe according to them, despite neurotoxins, despite aluminium, despite thimerosal, despite foreign DNA. You pump that into the kids with a vaccine, you're going to cause immune reaction. The God-given immune system that children have do not need the majority of bloody vaccines pumped into them. 77 million people throughout the planet have got autism. Did that spread like a disease? For anyone looking at, whistleblowers have left the CDC and then they were shut down. Suzanne Humphreys, lots of other people have spoken out, and you can see the iron boot of fascism crushing the bloody truth and alienating these people and turning the hate on them for what they've said and done, because it affects the profits of these people. It affects the money, it affects the income. Money is buying the truth that they want us to believe. And that corporate power, we've mentioned it before, it's in the food chain. Instead of our government saying at the start of this, we don't need lockdown, just like Sweden, have some common sense, that the Scots have got bucket loads of it. Let's protect the elderly through vitamin D, zinc and vitamin C. We would have far less deaths. And a wee bit of common sense. I appeal to the Scottish Government to start a campaign now to look at the signs and look at the independent scientists. Same with EMFs. The independent scientists are fighting the real case with us, and we are using their scientists. So I bow to them and thank them for what they've done. And thank you again for putting up with us.